Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I am your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride is Dean Chambers and Mitch Grawl. How are you doing on this evening, gentlemen?
Very good. Yeah.
All
I
right.
am rolling.
You are rolling. Hopefully you guys are doing well out there listening in this week. So, we've had a lot that happened this past week. We're going to go into it. Lot of scoring by a lot of teams. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the middle section. But we're going to kick this off first, jump right in, and we're going to go over last week's games. And starting out with the first one, we have Los Angeles taking on Jacksonville, and LA went into Jacksonville and walked off with a 22-14 victory. We're going to start this one off with Dean.
Yeah, Jacksonville played tough in this game, but it wasn't quite enough to win. And somehow their quarterback, James Kirk, is the player of the game. They gained 426 yards in offense. They outgained the Chargers by 100 yards, but they came up short by 8 points in the scoreboard. I think just that the defending Super Bowl champions are just a little bit more effective at translating their offensive production into scores, and they get the win. They rebound from the week one upset, and they win.
Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, it's not often that you see the quarterback for the losing team win player or player of the game. So we can't. We're going to blame this on Captain James Kirk over here. However, I think post-game comments by our coach there, Jacksonville, Coach Weston. I think he pointed the finger straight at that field goal kicker who went 0 for 2 in field goals. So, if he's able to connect on those field goal attempts, that makes this game a lot different and maybe allow Jacksonville to play things a little differently in the closing minutes. So, tough loss for Jacksonville, but good win for the Chargers.
Okay, next game. We have Vegas going into Indy to play Indianapolis, and they happen to walk away with a 17-10 victory. Mitch.
Ooh, I tell you, this looked like a 1960s, bar house brawl out there on the field. Nobody was moving the ball in this game. However, Las Vegas was able to put just enough together to get a couple of scores there into the end zone. Really ended up Indianapolis got a late score to make it a one-score game. But overall, it was not the most exciting game in the world. But I'm sure Las Vegas only cares about the W. So, Dean, what do you think?
Yeah, it was a pretty solid effort overall by Las Vegas. The new coach there, he kind of continued the same kind of game plan that he tried week one against the Jets and did it a little bit better against Indianapolis. And the offense had some moments that looked pretty good in the first half. Neither team scored a whole lot in the second half, and there was a late touchdown by the Colts that made the game. I mean, really, the score doesn't indicate that Las Vegas really, I wouldn't say dominated this game, but was pretty strong in this game, and it's a good win. And I think the Raiders are going to be somewhat competitive this year, and I wouldn't count them out in any given game.
I agree with that one as well. Next game we have Minnesota taking on Pittsburgh, and that one was a little bit of a high-scoring affair with Minnesota taking that victory 31-10. Dean.
Yeah, this is where we can see that Barney's comeback tour continues this past week, and they played solid, played very good defense, only giving up 10 points against Pittsburgh. And this was a solid win. It was good balanced offense with some good rushing and some good passing. The quarterback went 20 out of 27 for 74%, which is very solid. So good overall win, and Minnesota's looking good so far this season. I believe they're 2-0, aren't they?
Yes.
They are. Yes, and see, I was so happy that Minnesota won this game. Not because I have anything against our friend in Pittsburgh. I hope he has a fantastic season other than when he plays me twice this year. However, I was really rooting for Minnesota because after, Minnesota creaming me in the first week, I did not want Minnesota to fall flat. I wanted them to win big so that it made me feel better about myself. And so, thank you very much, Barney, for pulling out that victory. And now we get to play each other again this week. So that's my commentary on that, Mark.
So basically, he's helping to build up your self-esteem.
Yes, he made me feel much better about myself. I was able to come out of my safe space after seeing that score. So.
Okay. Next game that we have is Atlanta taking on New England. That one was, we'll let Mitch and the coach talk about it. So we're going to start off with the coach. We're going to start off with Mitch first. Go ahead, Mitch.
All right. Well, this was, as Ron Burgundy would say, this one escalated quickly on this year, especially in the second half. With New England, getting that 50 spot there. Score wise, it was still a pretty tight game. Going in, after halftime, the biggest piece of that was because of a couple of big touchdown throws that Trey Lance had on a couple of razzle-dazzle plays there. Outside of that, New England's defense pretty much held Atlanta in check. So it was very impressive by New England, and similar to a few other teams, kind of like the Giants, Minnesota. New England sitting at 2-0 and two pretty impressive victories to start the season. So, Dean, I know you don't feel quite as inspired by the game. So, what are you thinking?
As I watch the game, there are times when the score may be close, but when you watch the game, you kind of get a sense that one team or the other team is definitely playing much better, even if the score is closer. And again, if you subtract a couple of those big plays that you referred to, then New England was looking pretty solid overall. I mean, I could sense that my defense wasn't stopping a whole lot early on, but the offense was scoring some scores when it counted, and somewhere in the third quarter the score was 26-24 in favor of New England, and I thought if my team could just pull it together and play well in the fourth quarter, it just needed to outscore New England by 3 points, which wasn't unrealistic. But then the whole thing fell apart. It seemed like the defense just went to the locker room a quarter too early, and there was no Falcons defense in that fourth quarter. The Patriots scored 24 points unanswered. I mean, you would think that Tom Brady, number 12 himself, had suited up to play for the Patriots in the fourth quarter with all that scoring.
As I say, Dean, as a real life Falcons fan, I had flashbacks of that New England Atlanta Super Bowl fourth quarter. So thanks for making me consider going back into my safe space. But anyway.
Well, you're not going to go into therapy for that one again?
No. I'm able to get past it now.
You're able to get past it and move on. That's good. That is good for you. Next game we have is New Orleans taking on Detroit, and that one was a little bit more even there, with New Orleans taking that one 31-20. Dean, we're going to have you start off.
Yeah, the Saints had over 400 yards of offense and 115 yards of rushing, 296 passing. Pretty solid effort. They did give up some points to Detroit, but they definitely outscored them, and overall played pretty solid game, and good rebound for them from week one. And again, the Saints are still in this camp. You don't want to count them out. So they're 1-1 and on to better days. I'm sure they hope.
All right, Mitch.
I tell you, I know that. Well, one, congratulations to Coach Perez on getting that first victory of the year. But I'll just say that even though New Orleans is not one of those 2-0 teams that we'd mentioned earlier, I've been very impressed with New Orleans to start the season here. I know they gave Atlanta all they could handle in week one. Had an opportunity to win that game. And then this week, a really strong overall team performance. This coming, like I said, you sometimes wonder a team getting their first playoff appearance the previous season. Okay, were they for real? Was it some luck in there? The New Orleans, I think, is here to contend, and so I would say anyone playing them again this year, you better be ready because I think New Orleans. I think Coach Perez is that quiet assassin. You don't hear much from him, but I think he's putting in the work behind the scenes. So hats off to him.
Okay. Next game that we have on the list. Sometimes you gotta take that licking every once in a while, take that beating. Seattle went in and played San Francisco, and Seattle ended up losing that one 21-31. We're going to start off with Mitch.
Well, I was going to come on here and crack a few jokes, say a few things, just because I like to get you rattled there, Mark. But, I figure you might need some lifting up this week. After getting pummeled pretty well here. 17 more minutes. San Francisco had the ball, 18% on third down. Less than 250 yards of total offense. I just don't know if you want to hear jokes this week. I'm just going to say you're going to put this one behind you, and you're going to come out and be a stronger man for it this week, and just give my congratulations to our friend in San Francisco there for another victory and a 2-0 start for our commish, old Charlie. So, Dean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the issue with I think the place to look for improvement for Seattle is primarily in the offense. Here you're looking at 2 of 11 on third down. The 2 of 11 third down efficiency, total of 10 first downs, and passing 10 completions out of 22 yards. Some good rushing, but not enough of it. Just 20 rushing attempts in the whole game. And so I know it's easier said than done, but, some better balance, some more effective rushing. The rushing was effective, but more of it. I know that's a challenge because I've been working with that in the profile myself. And you think you set a profile to run a lot, and you watch a game and it's mostly passing because the game seems to be biased in favor of passing. So I'm sure that's something that you'll continue working on, Mark, and you'll get better.
Yeah, I agree. I went through and did a major overhaul, and clearly it was not enough. So, I put up more points on the offensive side, which is good compared to last week. But still, you can't.
One recommendation I would make on this, and just call me crazy, but whatever plays you called for Montgomery to run the ball, don't do that anymore. 11 carries for 7 yards.
Yeah.
Whatever those plays were, I want you to take them out of your plan. I want you to throw them in the recycle bin and be done with that, because apparently those plays are not very good.
Well, you know what? I think I got to take a look at those, because I thought Harris might have been hurt as I went through. I got to go through that again, go through the log again, because that's the only reason why I would see Montgomery getting that much in there.
Because Harris and Ford actually did pretty well. But
yes.
Montgomery apparently had his shoelaces tied together because he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I got to take a look at that and find out where that big mistake is and eliminate that altogether. So, all right. Moving on. The next game on the list, we have the New York Giants taking on Anaheim, which that one was a high scoring game, but not for Anaheim. Anaheim ended up losing this one 42-3. I was trying to find the right way to say it and sound nice. So we're going to start with you on this one, Dean.
Yeah, the New York Football Giants are for real. And, the best thing for an effective passing game and for your quarterback is to have a good running game. And definitely with the moves that have been made and the other changes, the Giants are running the ball well. They're passing the ball well. They had 515 yards of offense. They played excellent defense. They only gave the Rams a single field goal. So the New York Football Giants are for real.
I would agree with that. I think the Giants, one of those teams that you keep going, the coach is smart. The coach knows what to do. Why isn't the team? Why can't they put it together on all fronts? And so far through the first 2 weeks of this season, the Giants look to be solid on all accounts, and I have to believe that there's a little extra energy from our coach there in New York, having Barkley, Jones, and some of these we'll say real life Giants there on the team on offense. I don't know. I think he might have a little extra motivation this year in his prep and game planning. So nice job for the Giants. And for Anaheim, I've been saying Anaheim is kind of that sneaky good team that'll jump up there, off to a tough start this season. I thought that they were going to be much more competitive, and there's still 14 weeks to go. So definitely no need at this point to panic. However, I would say I would have some concerns if, losing 42-3 in week 2, as usually we'll see a dramatic shift there from week 1 to week 2, and maybe the coach was distracted this week, and I would hate to be the team playing him in week 3. I would suspect they're going to be much better.
Okay, there's one story we missed though. Joshua Dobbs threw 3 interceptions. He's had a history of fumbling a lot, but not necessarily throwing a lot of interceptions, but 3 of them to the Giants defense.
Yeah, and his longest completion was only 15 yards. So something tells me that Anaheim may have been, keeping things a little bit too close to the vest, and the Giants were ready to pounce on it.
Yep, I agree. Next game we have is Washington taking on Kansas City. And actually, as we are coming down to the last 2 games, and then we'll lead into our what we call the game of the week. But yes, Washington went into Kansas City, and Kansas City opened up a can on him this time on Barney. So, and taking this one 45-11. We're going to start with Dean on this one. Go ahead, Dean.
Yes, I asked the question last week regarding this matchup. Which of these teams were going to be too conservative on offense? And I think we clearly received our answer to that question. The Redskins were definitely playing it too safe on offense. Scored a total of 14 first downs in the game, 3 of 12 in third down efficiency, just 102 yards rushing. The Redskins have generally been much better at running the ball than that. 102 yards and 23 attempts, just 117 net passing yards. Those aren't the kind of numbers that Washington put up last season. And Kansas City was dominant on offense, solid in defense, but very dominant in offense. 445 yards, 74% completions, 161 yards rushing. So the Chiefs were definitely the stronger game in this match. A stronger team, rather.
All right, we're going to interview the coach himself. So, Mitch, what did you do this week?
Well, made a couple of adjustments after my week one drubbing. So I was on the other end of this kind of beating in week one. So I still say I said to Jerry after the game, I was like, look, if we ended up in the Super Bowl, you'll probably shut me out. All right, so and that's just how sometimes some of these games will go. But I will say that as I've said on some of our previous podcasts, when you lose a game or you go on a losing streak, yeah, you can either lose or you can learn. And I went back and reevaluated a few things that I had neglected maybe to do it effectively in the first game, and obviously made that adjustment, and it worked in week two. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work like this in week three. I hope it does, but we'll see. But I guarantee you, Washington is going to brush this off, and they're going to give everybody in that National League East. I'm watching the Braves game. If y'all are wondering where that came from, in the NFC East, I guarantee you they're going to be just fine. But yeah, I was happy with the team win, and not a whole lot of complaining from me this week.
Okay. And as we come to the last game, which is our game of the week for the top outstanding game for week two, that is the New York Jets going up against the Cardinals, which is pretty much one of our staples in the league, top tier teams. And the Jets ended up taking this game 19-15. We're going to start with Mitch on this one.
Well, the first thing I'll say is, even though Dean, did not have, the game he wanted to against New England, I'm sure there was a bit of joy when he watched Justin Fields have to come in for Sam Darnold, and he threw an interception. So I'm sure there's a little bit of happiness with that. But all kidding aside, this is the matchup that everyone likes to watch here in the PNFL. Coach Murphy versus Coach Tucker. It's a lot of times a potential Super Bowl preview. The thing of this game is that there's a lot of turnovers, and then a lot of fumbles that made impacts in the game that they didn't result in the turnovers, but still kind of slowed the offenses down. I think what we had, 5 interceptions, one lost fumble, but then there was 4 other fumbles in the game. So lots of balls bouncing around out there on the field, and I think that's what impacted the score being a little lower than what we tend to see in some of these New York versus Chicago matchups. Dean, what did you see, or did you see anything past the Fields interception?
Well, it's interesting to note that someone among us referred to Justin Fields as the cancer. But yeah, this is a tough game, and a lot of fumbles. Like you said, 5 fumbles, 1 was lost, 5 interceptions. And it was a tough game for both teams, and I think the end result was kind of what I expected, and I predicted last week that the Jets would find a way to win this game, even though they were outgained in offensive yards by the Cardinals. So they just found a way to put more points on the board, and ultimately that's what counts.
Okay, so that's my little add in that I want to put in there is again, these are always the top two teams, and I definitely believe that the Jets are going to rebound this season. Last season wasn't really their best season from since I've been in the league, so I think this time out the gate they're going to make a statement, and they're going to let everybody know that hey, don't get too comfortable with the output from last season. We're still here, and we can still make some noise in the league. So.
You know your team has a lot of respect when you can win 10 games, win your division by 3 games, and people are like, "Oh man, they had a down year last year."
Exactly. But again, it's just you have those teams that you always expect them. They do so well, you just expect it, and that's pretty much it.
You expect 13-3, 14-2 every year. Suddenly, that 10-6 and a division win, it's just doesn't seem right. So, that just shows just how much the Jets have dominated, at least the AFC and arguably the league for several seasons. So, no, you're right. You're right.
Exactly.
And then you had Chicago at 11-5. Again, not a 13-3 or 14-2.
Right.
They were 11-5.
Yep. So, all right, guys. So as we wrap up week 2 games, definitely some games that were a lot of offense, a lot of high scoring points. There's a lot of points that's been put up there. Some by both teams, some on one side. So as I'm bringing this up, we're segueing and we're moving into our next section of the show, which is the scoring this week. Last week, I think week 1, you had a lot of games that had some high scoring points in it, but we kind of talked about it and discussed that usually that's week 1 games. Everyone's trying to feel each other out. You get your ideas out there and set your plans up, and you just want to sit out there and see what's going to happen. And then week 2, you make those adjustments. Some teams made their adjustments and corrected and got some victories. Some made adjustments but just didn't quite do enough to get to that next stage. And then others just fell flat, I guess. So as we talk about this, I want you guys to kind of, we discussed this a little bit. What do you think happened overall in the week 2 games? Was it that teams got better and putting good plays out there to run up the score and had put more points on the board? Or was it that the defensive plays weren't there, or the defense just didn't show up, or they didn't plan properly for the defense? So in your opinion, what do you think the problem was? So we're going to start this one off with Mitch and then go to Dean.
Yeah, it's hard to say, to be honest with you. I mean, you look out there, and we had both of these weeks. We've had a lot of teams that have had scores in the mid to high 30s, in the 40s out there, and it seemed like for a while, quite honestly, the only teams that were really doing that, even on a quasi, I won't even say regular basis, but multiple times in a season, was really Chicago and the Jets. And this season, we've got quite a few teams already, again, just 2 weeks in, that have had these kind of outputs. Typically, though, in these games, we haven't seen where it's been like a shootout, like a 40-34 game like that Jerry and I had last year. It's been more one-sided blowouts in these situations. And so, as I kind of look at these games and really think about, okay, what really happened? I think it's more of, the team who scored a lot of points obviously did some things right on offense, but then you start looking deeper into the numbers, and I think it's more the fact that they were able to create a lot of additional possessions, whether through the turnover, whether through putting teams, their opponents, into lots of 3rd and long situations, and getting them off the field. They created a lot of extra possessions. and didn't allow their opponents that piece of it. So, I mean, obviously you're thinking, well, duh, that's probably what happened. But I think, in a lot of cases, we don't see teams take advantage of those opportunities. And for whatever reason, why, where we've seen teams like not the Jets, but the Giants, the Patriots, Minnesota, and some others, I think really be able to take advantage of the extra possessions and really widen out the point differentials in these games. So that's just a few thoughts that have kind of come into my mind as I look at it. I don't really have a reason, if anything within the PPP that's been done necessarily. I'd have to do a lot more in-depth, digging into some of those games, but just on the surface and some of the surface stats and just some of the things I've seen and watching a few of those games, that's where I'd see. I think it's more of the one team able to create a lot more possessions and taking advantage of that opportunity. So, Dean, what do you think? What are you thinking?
Well, a couple of quick things. Having possessions is one thing, but doing, the team has to do something with them. But I'm going to make 2 points here. The first point is the NFC East was really the ground zero for most of this scoring. We know that the Giants won 42-3, and the Giants scored 42, and I think they did some of what I'm going to mention in point number 2. And the rest of point number 1 is that the Falcons gave up 50, the Redskins gave up 45, the Lions gave up 21. That's a total of 126 points given up by 3 teams in the NFC East. That's 42 points per game that those 3 teams gave up. Basically, 3 teams in the NFC East just about more or less forgot about how to play defense this past week. And the one team that won in the NFC East played excellent defense and scored 42 points, namely the Giants. Now, I think what some of these teams are doing to take advantage of those possessions and those opportunities, I think they've identified some plays, namely some passing plays, but in some instances effective running, that are able to find holes in the defenses that a lot of us are using and score points and move the ball. And that's how they're taking advantage of those possessions that you spoke about, Mitch. So I think what's driving the scoring on the part of some of these teams that are getting into the 30s and 40s is the identification and usage of really good plays, especially passing plays, in their game plans in these games. I think that's making a difference.
So, and wait, hold on. Is there something that you want to add on to that, Mitch, before I had because I'm going to have a question?
No. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, okay. So as I look at this, and I looked over some of the plays, and I looked over the logs, and I know that there is a balance between the two. I think for me personally, and I'm not telling too much on what my strategy and my background is, but I looked at maybe the defensive side, the play calling situations in there could be attributed more to the higher score, and I think that a lot of teams made adjustments as far as on the offensive side, but maybe the defensive side is just lacking a little bit more. And I guess I wouldn't say more of the play calling scheme, but more of the plays. Would you think that would be a possibility, or is it just that the teams prepared more for the offense instead of the defensive side?
I think it's play selection. I think some of these teams were very effective in choosing the right plays that would essentially find holes or break the defenses. I think this is more a matter of offensive production than ineffectiveness in defense.
And you also too, if you look at some of these games, the Giants game, the Chiefs Redskins, the Atlanta New England game, the team that did score quite a few points. Again, I think a lot of it's because they had a lot of extra possessions, but they also had a lot of balance, right? You didn't see a team that was particularly, you know, throwing it, 70 times and only rushing it 5 times, or the vice versa, trying to rush it 50 times and throw it 20. There was pretty good balance. And so I think between the balance and being more effective at the plays they selected for their game plans, you put those two together, and it makes it hard to stop. If you've got a team that can run the ball and average 5-6 yards a carry, and then turn around and hit 15, 20-yard passes, on a 50-60% clip. I mean, that's tough to defend. So that's a few things I noticed in those particular games in particular. So.
Okay, so yeah, I would agree. I agree with both of you, but I tend to lean also definitely a high percentage is what Dean was saying as far as the play selection. Because I looked at after I went through my tapes and I looked at a couple other games. One in particular I was looking at was the New York game because I wanted to look to see what did they do. And, just because I won't say it's a copycat league, but I was like, okay, he did something right, and then, sorry, Dean, but I looked at the New England Atlanta game as well to see what were they doing that I was missing. And the only thing I could think of was the plays. I mean, the situations and the scheme. I mean, when you say, "Hey, I want to do this or do this," it comes down to the plays and putting the people in the right spot. So, I think that's where I can look at and improve. And I'm thinking some of these coaches out there that had a rough week can look at that and improve as well. So, my little pennies in there to go along with the two experts out there that are dropping 50s and 100s out there to impart their knowledge on the league. So, all right, okay, that one fell flat. Sorry, guys. I'm the little puppy here with the two big dogs. Okay, so
hey, they're not all winners, Mark. They're not all winners.
Yeah, that's true. They're not all winners, but still, the losing stuff gets kind of gets frustrating after a while, and you start kind of look at, okay, what can I do? And I know there's some teams out there that are 0-2 along with me and trying to figure out, okay, what the heck am I doing and how can I fix this? So,
hey, and the good news is that, with you being 0-2 and Anaheim being 0-2, the really good news is that you all play each other twice. So somebody could potentially, win both of those games or at least split. So you hopefully won't go winless. So there's the silver lining in all this.
Yeah, but I'm already behind the 8 ball in the conference because I lost to Charlie. So, and I was talking trash about Charlie. So,
see what happens.
I know I picked on the commish. Oh well.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I'm not picking the games for the team she doesn't like, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm not picking on the commish. I was just trying to be confident in my swag. So yeah, I don't want to find out that I put one game plan out there and find out that oh, sorry, we put the wrong plans out there, Mark. Oh well, I'm just picking on you, Charlie. I'm just picking on you. So, all right, moving into our third and final segment, which is our predictions. As we take a look at how we did in week 2 for the lead pipe lock, Mitch and Dean were both 2-0, and just like my record, I'm 0-2. So I got to turn this around. I'm starting to get that superstition where I got to get my lead pipe lock correct, and then I can get my team correct. So, but overall for the season, out of the first 2 weeks, Mitch is sitting at 11-7 overall for all the games. Dean is at 10-8, and I am sitting at 11-7 for the predictions for this season for the week. So heading into week 3, we are going to, again, we have Rich Sporting Books is one of our sponsors now on our team. So he's giving us his little picks, and he sends it out to you guys as well. So as we are looking at the week 3 games, we are going to start off. First one on the list is New England going up against the Lions, and Rich has the Patriots at 9.5 going into this, and we are going to start the predictions out here with Dean.
Yeah, that's a big spread, but this Patriots team can score some points, and I think they're going to win and cover that spread.
Okay, so you are going for the Pats. Okay, Mitch.
All right. I'm going to pick an upset here. Even though I've been talking about New England here and there's always one of those games where just kind of out of nowhere kind of jumps up. I think this could be it. I'm going to take Detroit.
Okay, you going with Motown.
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit.
I think Coach Mox is on a roll. I think he definitely he's getting some things together. But on the flip side, I think the Lions they got to pull themselves out of their little funk that they're in. And I think that they're probably feeling the same way that I feel when I play or playing this week. But I gotta ride that same horsey. I'm going with New England this week. It's a tough one for me, but I'm gonna go with New England on this one. So next game we have Jacksonville going up against the Jets. Sporting books are giving the Jets 17.5. Realistically, that sounds within their window, but I want to hear what you guys got to say. We're going to start off with Mitch on this one. Go ahead, Mitch.
Jets win. They win. I think that they can win an ugly game against Chicago. They're going to come back and win against Jacksonville, and don't know if it'll be 17 points, 17.5, but I think they win and they'll feel comfortable about it.
Okay, Dean.
Yeah, 3 words for this game: Jets, Jets, Jets. They're definitely going to win and cover the spread.
All right, I'll keep mine simple. I'll go with the Jets as well. There you go. Next one that we have, the Colts going into Atlanta to play the Falcons. Sporting Books is giving them 6.5. We're going to start with Mitch on this one. Then we're going to swing it to the coach. Go ahead, Mitch.
I tell you what.
Tough one, huh?
Atlanta should win this game. Atlanta should win this game. I'm going to go with Atlanta. Indianapolis defense has played pretty well the first couple of weeks. Don't know. It's that quarterback curse, man. It's the quarterback curse. So we'll see if their offense can do anything. But I'm taking Atlanta.
Okay, Dean.
Well, if it is the quarterback curse, then I guess you have to bet in favor of Trey Lance. So, yeah, I think the key word in what Mitch said is should. Type that all in capitals, should. So I'll be optimistic and say that that's going to happen, but we'll see.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going to ride Atlanta on this one as well. Yeah, I'm going to ride with Atlanta. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to go proving it off anywhere. All right, so next game we have the Raiders going in. Battle of the Bay. No, not Battle of the Bay anymore. We have the Vegas Raiders going into San Francisco to play the Niners. They are giving the Niners 7.5. We're going to start with Dean on this one.
Well, you know that the 49ers are notorious for winning and losing close games. The Raiders are getting their stuff together and playing better. I think The Raiders are going to play very tough. I'm going to stop just short of predicting an upset, though, although I won't be surprised if it happens. I'm going to say the 49ers are going to barely survive this game but not cover the spread.
Okay. Mitch.
Well, after watching that game last week between Las Vegas and Indy and watching the San Francisco-Seattle game, I'm thinking I would probably select Seattle to beat Las Vegas. San Francisco beat Seattle, so I'm going to pick San Francisco. I'm going San Francisco this week.
All right. So I'm going to break this mold, which I think that teams that play in the same conference should never, ever, ever do. Or better yet, in the same division, never, ever do. I am picking the Niners, and that is going to be my lead pipe this week. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. Yeah. I'm putting it out there. Maybe, he beat me last week, so maybe the pressure. Well, no, I can't do that because I got a lead pipe block you. All right, Charlie, look, you beat me last week, so I'm giving you the lead pipe block. You gotta, you gotta come through. Give me a victory in something, okay? So, next game that we have coming up, the Vikings going against the Chiefs over here. Okay, so what we are going to do on this one, we are going to have Dean start this one off, and then we're going to have the coach come in next. So let's go with this one. Oh, and the books are giving the Vikings 4.5 on this one.
Well, this is where Barney's comeback tour might run into a little resistance playing at Kansas City. I think Kansas City will be ready for this. The Chiefs are going to play very well, and I see Kansas City winning this one.
Okay. And Coach, what do you see this week?
Well, I have some insight to the Kansas City coaching staff, and I know that they are working hard to get back over 500 and to avenge that week 1 drubbing. And so Minnesota's always tough, and so I'll just say that the Chiefs will be ready to roll this week, and we'll see how it goes out. But always tough playing against Barney and his team, regardless.
There goes that Lou Holtz again. Just going to say you're just honored to be on the same playing field with them. Okay.
But I guess I do have to make a pick, though, right? I guess I have to make a pick for.
I'm sure
so
you.
I will pick Kansas City, but just know it's gonna. I expect this to be a very tough game.
This is going to be a close one. Both of them are good teams. I don't think the spread. I don't believe that 4.5 point spread. I think it may be closer than that. I'm going to go with Kansas City also.
This could have been a pick'em game, really.
Yeah, it's borderline pick'em game. I would agree with that as well. I definitely would. Next game, we have the Steelers going against the Chargers. Sporting Books is giving them giving the Chargers 9.5. We're going to start with Mitch on this one. Remember, you each got your lock left.
And I'll have to say, here is my lead pipe lock. So everyone, I know interest rates are high, but it's okay. Go get that second or third mortgage. Get your cash ready. Put it all on Los Angeles. Chargers will win this game. They're going to win it big, and they're going to continue to run with Kansas City and Minnesota for the top of that Western division in the AFC. So go ahead, get that second, third mortgage. liquidate your child's college account. You're good to go this week on the Chargers.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Chargers are going to overcome the stigma of that 9.5 point spread. We remember that from week 1, but that's not going to be a curse this week. The defending Super Bowl champions will look like the defending Super Bowl champions and beat the Steelers this week.
All right. I will concur as well, and I am picking LA right along with you guys. Okay. Next game, we have the Giants going up against the Redskins. Redskins have 7.5 point spread, and we're going to start with Dean on this one.
Yeah, I'm going all in on the Giants on this one. I know how good the Redskins are, but and I think they'll try to make some changes after last week's effort. But I think the momentum is with the Giants, and the Giants are going to be too balanced in offense, too strong in defense. It may be closer than certainly their game last week, but this will be a Giants win.
Okay, Mitch.
Not so fast, my friend. I think Redskins are going to make these adjustments, and I don't think they're going to allow the NFC East to be taken quite so quickly by the Giants here. And so, being that this is going to be at Washington, I think the Redskins are going to pull out this victory.
Okay. I agree with you on that one. I'm going to go with the Redskins on this one. Rain or shine. So that's where I'm going to go with this one.
Do we have a forecast for Washington?
No, we do not have a forecast for them.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next game, we have Anaheim going up against the Chicago Cardinals. They are giving the Cardinals a huge 20.5 spread in the book. So we're going to start with Mitch on this one.
I guess the only way I could say this is that if Anaheim doesn't figure something out after these first 2 weeks, this game is going to be ugly. I'm going with Chicago.
Okay. Dean.
Yeah, the weather forecast at Chicago calls for a raining of lots of touchdowns. This is my lead pipe lock of the week. Chicago is going to win and cover that spread. I know it's big, but we're going to see some serious offensive output from the Cardinals this week and a win and cover the spread. And this is the best bet on the board, Ray. Put your money on this one. Not the other game. Put all your money on this one for the Cardinals winning by at least 21 points.
Okay. And for myself, I am picking the Cardinals. Nothing more needs to be said. Last game for the week. Seattle going into New Orleans. They are giving the Saints a 10.5 point spread. And we are going to start with Dean on this last one.
Yeah, I think this game is where the Seahawks are going to put it together, and it's time to prove that this team can win. And I think the Seahawks will do that. And this is an upset. I'm not afraid of that 10.5 point spread. This is going to be a Seahawks win, even though it's on the road. Big upset here. I mean, if Indianapolis can beat the Chargers, the Seahawks can beat the Saints. I'm calling for the upset.
All right. Mitch.
I think it's going to be closer than 10 points. But as I said earlier, I've been very impressed with New Orleans here this season. I think they're going to get the victory, but I believe Seattle is going to play much better than they have these first couple of weeks.
And I am picking Seattle. I already have the coaching staff ripping up books and got the guys out there doing two-a-days. I don't care if it's the regular season; they're out there doing two-a-days. So, and if things don't work out, I'm going to start putting the coaches out there and start cutting coaches and getting a whole new coaching staff. So that's where I'm at on that one. So, all right, and we are wrapping this one up. And as we finish this up, I just want to say that we have some good games coming up this week. It's going to be curious to find out, are we going to try to get some of the scoring under control and the defense is going to step up to cut those numbers down, or is it still going to be another week of high-scoring games? So as we come to end this up, wrap this show up, anything that you want to say before we go, Dean?
Well, I had a question for you, Mark. Are you going to have some of those coaches suit up and you're going to make them play special teams this week?
You know what? I think I'll have them out there playing special teams. I may send them out there without pads or helmets so they can get a taste of what it's like. If they don't make the right plays or make the right calls out there. So, I'm at this point, don't care. Throw them all out there.
It sounds like it's going to be a little bit of tough love in Seattle this week.
Oh, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough this week because winning fixes everything. And when you lose your first two games and your defense is just giving up points left and right, something's got to give. Offense needs to do their job, and by them putting up points or staying on the field, give the defense a chance to rest up and not have them work so hard out there. So, Mitch, what do you have, sir? Any final words?
Only final word I have, and it's actually a few words. Let's get it.